All right, welcome back to the channel. Errol Spence Jr. looks like that he is back in training camp after the biggest win, after one of the biggest wins and victories in his career against former WBA champion Dennis Ugas, and he looks like he is preparing for Terence Crawford, and he is taking this really seriously. And like he said before, he is shopping for Terence Crawford belt. So I hope Terence Crawford is doing the same thing in training while Errol Spence Jr. is training as well, because this fight is going to happen, and it's going to be the most electrifying fight we have ever seen. So I'm going to break it down for y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please sure that you like and subscribe, and also share the video to get all your latest boxing news. Before we start, I want to give a shout out to all my recent subscribers from yesterday. Much love and much appreciation, and I thank you guys for supporting the channel and subscribing and hitting the like button. So with that being said, Errol Spence Jr. If you guys don't follow Errol Spence Jr., I follow Errol Spence Jr. pretty heavy. I follow him on Instagram mostly. So Errol Spence Jr. had a post. I think it was I think it was like Facebook or whatever. I think it was Facebook. I could be wrong, but I think he might have posted on both platforms. But he was showing that he was training back early. You know, I thought usually when you're a fighter, you know, you go ahead and take a little rest and vacation day or whatever not. No, this man is back in training camp after, I believe, 3 to 4 days after the showdown with Dennis Ugas. Well, Errol Spence Jr. barely even took any damage, so congrats to that as well. I'm glad that he didn't have any major, you know, little damage, you know, because little damage adds up and stuff like that. And Errol Spence Jr., you know, he said what he was going to do since day one, guys. He's coming for Terence Crawford. And he's really serious, and he's taking this fight really serious, and he's back in training camp already. And he hasn't even had a time to take a break. We know that the athletic commission, they're going to suspend him for a certain amount of weeks or months. It depends on how much damage he's taken, but Errol Spence Jr. barely even took any damage in that fight. He may have gotten rocked with a punch that he didn't see, because Dennis Ugas, you know, he didn't do nothing wrong. People felt like Dennis Ugas sucker punched him. No, he didn't. Protect yourself at all times, and that's what Dennis Ugas was doing. So with that being said, you know, Errol Spence Jr., you know, I feel like that he's fully revamped. You know, he is back hungry again for the sport of boxing. He has that mindset just like Canelo Alvarez once again. You know, it's no boxing, there's no life, and that's what Errol Spence Jr. is having right now. He's hungry again. He wants to prove to the world why he's the best welterweight at 147, and he's going to prove to us that he can beat Terence Crawford. Now, I know I made a video yesterday about Terence Crawford, and there was a couple people, you know, that disagree. Well, cool, disagree. That's your opinion, but I respect y'all for listening to what I gotta say. On my opinion, you know, if you got an opinion, cool, I'm rocking with it. But there was a few people in my comment section that had BS to say, because I was spitting a little bit of truth sometimes. Well, mostly I try to spit most of the truths and be unbiased as I possibly can, and I was trying to be unbiased. I know I made a favor Spence just a little bit over, but I ride with man down all day because I'm a true boxing fan. I mess and I ride with Spence, win, lose, or draw. But anyway, Terence Crawford, we know Terence Crawford is a bad man. We know he had 10 successful knockouts at welterweight. He successfully knocked out, well, I'm going to say 9, because his daddy stopped the fight. Sean Porter's daddy had stopped the fight and stuff like that. So I feel like that Terence Crawford is one of the best welterweights in the world. And for you guys don't know, I believe on ESPN, they had showed that Errol Spence Jr. was #1 on that pound-for-pound list, and Terence Crawford was #2. So Terence Crawford might have got wind of this, that, okay, they think he's number one. Okay, I'm going to prove to the world I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna beat his ass. And I think Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence Jr. and I think Errol Spence Jr. can beat Terence Crawford. This what makes for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. This is a 50-50 fight. This is a 60-40 split. Okay, there's nowhere damn near. I disagree 3,000% that this is not a 50-50 split percentage for the purse. Yesterday I was watching one of my favorite channels, Blue Blood Sports TV, and all these Bud fans was running in there saying, "Oh, he should get 50-50 for what? What should he get 50-50 for? What has Terence Crawford did at the welterweight division?" See, a lot of people is comparing that to what he did at 140. Yes, he accomplished a lot of things at 140. People may say he have not fought the best competition at 140, but whoever was in that weight class at the time with a belt, that's what Terence Crawford had to do to get undisputed. He fought the best of the best at 140 that had to offer him. But what my problem is, he didn't do it at welterweight. And you guys fail to realize this. Bomac even said that they took the WBO route because they said it was the easiest route. So when the trainers and fight team point this out, we ain't lying to y'all. We telling y'all the truth. Y'all can go back and look at Bomac says the reason why we didn't want the Spence fight because we feel like that the WBO route was easier. If that was the case, guys, did you know that Terence Crawford was undisputed at 140 and he could have potentially fought Errol Spence Jr. back in 2018 when Errol Spence Jr. was grabbing a belt? He could have went to WBC. He could have went to IBF because you have an option to choose what sanctioned body you want to once you go undisputed. Now, a lot of people go to WBO route because they feel like it's the easiest route, and that's what Bomac said. So, Terence Crawford is an excellent fighter. He's a great boxer. And a lot of people feel like that if Terence Crawford stay on the outside and outbox Spence, it would neutralize Spence from getting on the inside. That's not going to be the case, okay? I don't think Terence Crawford is not going to be able to outbox Spence because you know why? Terence Crawford is getting up in age. Terence Crawford is going to start requiring more on his athleticism. Y'all don't fail to realize that. Terence Crawford is a very athletic boxer. And if he boxes you on the outside, he's going to require on his athleticism. And I feel like that's not going to work against Spence. I feel like that if Terence Crawford can keep Spence at bay in that mid-range games, Terence Crawford can have a lot of success. But I feel like that Terence Crawford is going to have to take this fight 100,000% because Errol Spence is not playing with Terence Crawford. This man is already back in training camp, taking this to a whole nother level. Okay? If Errol Spence, okay, we know that Errol Spence Jr. is rusty. We know that he threw some shots that was a little bit rusty. We know that he needed to tighten up on his defense a little bit more. But Spence, once he gets this fight with Terence Crawford, he's not playing games. Terence Crawford thinks that he's going to go in there and walk down Spence like he do in his last opponents when he's losing on the back end. No, you're going to have to come up with a different game plan. And I think Terence Crawford is going to be prepared. I think Terence Crawford is going to be in his absolutely best, in his prime when he gets that Spence fight. But who knows what the situation with Terence Crawford is. And I'm just saying that I hope Bud is ready. I hope that he's 1,000 to 100% ready when this fight does get made. You know, Bud and Spence, they want the fight. Bud been calling his name. Spence been calling his name heavily. So at the point, we're ready to see one of the biggest fights in the sport of boxing. Like I said before, if you want to ride for Terence Crawford, ride for your man Terence Crawford. But if either fighter lose, don't sit there and jump off the bandwagon and go to Spence, and don't sit there and jump off the Spence bandwagon to Crawford. That's just not boxing fans. That's just called being a full-blown hater. Y'all just want to see another man lose, okay? Me, personally, I want to see Crawford lose, okay? I feel like Crawford has did impressive work at the welterweight division, and I feel like that Crawford, you know, is not going to have enough. I'm going to say this. he's not gonna have the alternative tools to beat Spence, in my opinion. Crawford got every tool in the toolbox you could think of, but he ain't gonna have those special tools that Spence is going to have. That's just my opinion on this whole situation. You might feel like Terence Crawford will knock out Spence. Cool, think that. You supposed to think that because you are a Terence Crawford fan. If you're a full diehard Terence Crawford fan, be that way. You can be like Bernie the Boxer, but don't be too emotional, because sometimes Bernie the Boxer is too emotional for Terence Crawford. I understand why, but he's just too damn emotional, you know, okay? But with that being said, guys, Errol Spence Jr. seems to be back in training camp after one of the biggest wins for the belt against Jordanis Ugas, and he is putting in that work, getting battle ready for Terence Crawford. This fight could potentially happen towards the end of the year coming up in 2022. So, guys, with that being said, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.